Hi, everybody. I'm Chicago psychic medium intuitive consultant Mel Dore. I started to say psycho, but I caught myself. I've got Linda G in the house. Yay. Hi, Linda. Lady in red.
A lady in red.
I bought a new Aloha shirt for today.
Oh my God, you just got so many Aloha shirts.
Oh, I love my Aloha.
You wash them or you dry clean them?
Some have to be dry cleaned and some
I dry clean a lot of stuff. In fact, I got to go to the dry cleaners today.
The ones that are embroidered, obviously on the back have to be dry cleaned, but
right.
Some are silk. I've had for like 25, 30 years.
Before we start, can I tell you the dream I had last night?
We started, we're recording, but go ahead.
Well, before we start with answering questions.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
It was the weirdest dream. So last night I had a dream. I was somewhere and they were doing that. Yeah. Nuclears are coming. Nukes are coming. And I wasn't with my babies, my dogs, my children, or anything. And I hopped in my car frantically trying. I don't know if I was trying to get to them, but I end up going into Benicia, you know, where I used to work at Angel Heart.
Right.
And I hit this big lake of water like a flood. And I started to spin really bad. And I thought, oh, shit. But I made it. I came out the other end. I was able to drive the car around. I got out of the car to kind of look for the damage. And 3 men approached me. And one had a gun, a black gun. And I'm looking at the gun. And they're like, want my car. They want to take my car. And I looked at the gun that the guy had and I grabbed it. I said, this isn't even real. And then I realized it's real. And the second guy started to lunge towards me and I shot him.
Wow.
And then all 3 ran away. So I'm talking to myself, of course. So I head over and I think I'm at Angel Heart. But I see Carol, I'm talking to Carol. I see a few other people. And then we stepped outside and you can see up in the sky this huge, I think what happened is the United States had stopped the nuke before it came down, so it was exploding in the air. So I saw this huge burst in the air. And I said, thank God they stopped it. And right after that, that siren came on again and they said, all clear, all clear.
Wow.
And then I remember in that moment thinking, oh, they just wiped out Russia too. Wow. Because today on the news, they were saying they actually know each place where they can shoot these things.
Yeah.
And so let them shoot one and then boom, they'll boom, 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 take them all out. Even a plane that's up in the air, they can take it out.
Right.
Because they're watching them like a hawk. You see the good intel we have because they predicted everything.
Well, I'm
our guy Zelensky. But the main thing is the nukes were tried in that dream, but we were able to stop it.
Plus, I think it's reminiscent of, you know, Russia being the aggressor, the guys with the gun, but
yeah,
they ran away. So I think that is an omen or a premonition or a vision that you know, Russia's going to lose.
Russia's going to lose.
They're running away. You know,
I also dreamt that Dan was there, my buddy Dan.
He's a nice
and guy. He was, I had a walkie-talkie with him, don't know why. And he was talking to another girl. And when I left, when I was going to get something, he was talking smack about me. And oh my God, I was heartbroken. And I told somebody, tell Dan the walkie-talkie's still on.
I don't think you'd do that. But.
No, he's not like that whatsoever. But when I woke up, I was more so, it was glad it was a dream about Dan and not the nukes. I mean, the nukes is actually a good sign.
Yeah, it is. Or it could be a sign that, you know, he's not going to use them. I mean, I am sure that Trump told him where all of our things are.
Oh, yes.
And I heard Trump say, well, if on my watch, Russia didn't invade Ukraine. Yeah, well, read between the lines, Cheeto head.
Because the first thing Trump did was try to get rid of NATO.
Oh, of course, exactly. And you know, on the other show we did with you, Kevin, and myself was because if Trump could get rid of NATO, then Putin would have a clear way to march through Europe.
Oh, let me tell you, if Trump was still president, he'd have already taken over.
Oh, yeah.
Ukraine.
But you know,
Yeah.
it's funny. I was thinking, did we really learn from Hitler when he invaded Czechoslovakia in World War II? Because they let him do it. But we did, because look at all the people standing up, and they're not kowtowing to Putin's I'm on high nuclear alert. They're not kowtowing to that. I mean, even
they're furious, and all those people in Russia that are still protesting.
The Russian people here that I know in Chicago, we have a huge Russian, Ukrainian population. Most of them that I know are so anti-Putin. And it's nobody gets it. It's just, well, they get it that Putin he wants world control, but he's crazy. He really is.
Well, today they had a woman with a baby on the news in Russia, in Moscow, and she was sobbing, and she said, Russia is ruined. It's ruined.
Well, we can't hold it against the Russian people.
No.
They don't want it either. It's Putin. It's clearly Putin.
He had to close his stock market down.
Oh, good. Yay. They closed.
And I couldn't believe the Swiss bank said they're not going to assist him.
I was just going to say that when Switzerland takes a stand, and they're always neutral, that's huge.
Yeah, that's huge.
You know, I had a dream that I saw Putin's yacht sinking, literally sinking.
Oh, that's a good sign.
Yeah. And he was yelling for help. And if there were people, all these boats around him, and they were laughing, and it was just sinking. It was like blown up, and it was just.
Oh, that's an excellent sign. So did you take out some thread and throw it towards them?
No, but I was.
Or some bread or paper towels and throw it towards them.
An orange.
But honest to God, I don't know if that's in your list, but I would love to know what you think is going to happen now with the Republicans, with their money being cut off like this.
With the Republican Party?
Yeah. You know, he helped put Trump in. I told you eventually that will be wide open. When Putin's taken down, everything about Trump, maybe even the PP tapes will come out.
Well, it's not, here's what I think. We've all been saying and seeing psychically a break in the Republican Party. And when I see Mitt Romney stand up against one faction of the party and say he's livid about the whole Putin-Russia thing, I mean, he was really.
How could they dare? He called them morons.
Oh, yeah. And so essentially, I think he's going to be spokesperson for a lot of Republicans who can't stand Putin and really who behind the scenes don't like Trump.
Right.
So, a lot of that dark money is cut off now. And a lot of that's going to come to the surface about where it was going, about that, more how Putin did interfere in the election. A lot's going to come out. It's going to be.
Well, I see people who could be subject to crimes just spewing their guts on Putin.
Well, because you said one thing months and months and months ago that Trump was going to be charged with treason.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people, when this starts to come out, rather than be charged with treason, they're going to cooperate. And so that's why they're going to spew. And I see another committee, to investigate all of that. Beside the January 6th committee, there's another one coming to investigate all of this dark money and all of that stuff.
Somebody's going to spew. I just see somebody handing them records and everything about Putin. But how do you feel Putin find? I see people within his own realm in his house take him down.
That's
Are
what
they going to kill him? Are they going to arrest him?
I see his own generals turning against him. I see a lot of people turning against him. And, he might have thought that he had the oligarchs' money safe, but he really underestimated what's going to happen. And I think a lot of them are going to turn against him. It's funny. People are thinking, if he nukes, everybody's going to die. But here's the way that works. It was reminiscent of Hitler in the bunker in the final days of Nazi Germany. Hitler didn't care if everybody died.
No, they said, sir, should we let the people in Berlin know that the bombs are coming? He said, no, let them all die.
That's exactly, there's a movie, it's in German, but it's got English subtitles. Watch it. It's like the last week of Hitler in the bunker, and it is chilling. And so, I I feel Putin is sick, not only in the head, but
I
physically.
think so too. Because some people said that they've known him for a lot of years and he's different.
Well, they think he's got Parkinson's and some say cancer. I tried to research it, but it's real sketchy. But even Macron of France said something's wrong with him.
Something's wrong with him.
But you know,
and you know, a general said, no, we're not going to use nukes, and Putin fired him.
well, they won't. I think his own, it'll be just like some of the generals here that wouldn't let Trump do what Trump wanted to do if it came to that. But here's my point. You know, Hitler didn't care who died at the end. And, you know, these oligarchs, autocrats like Putin, if he's dying anyway, he doesn't care if the world dies. He doesn't care if the Russians die. He doesn't care who dies.
Right.
For him, it's all or nothing.
Did you see the sign that someone had that says, hey, Putin, do us a favor. Go to the part where you shoot yourself in the bunker.
Exactly. Well, that might be telling.
Yeah.
Because
I think he would take his life rather than be taken in.
Oh, he would. But you know what? His own people are going to take him.
Okay.
Him. I don't know if they'll kill him, but you know, I just don't see him living long.
I don't either. And it's so interesting. I saw him running years ago. I said, I see him running from his own people.
But that yacht sinking in flames, and then
it was in flames too.
It was in flames and it was sinking, and he was yelling.
Was I with you? And did we have a shish kebab so we could?
You and I were going neener, neener, neener. No, we were going bye nubs, bye nubs.
Well, he just hasn't done anything for anybody.
What has he done?
I told you that Revealing Light, she has real good videos, by the way, on this subject. And what's weird is yesterday I was reading, I could feel someone tapping the top of my head. And she did a YouTube, and while she's talking, she goes, I feel someone touching my head.
Wow.
Anyway, what I was going to tell you is that she knew a girl from Russia that had migrated to Australia. And this girl had a very dear friend who was a journalist or press person. Probably said something that Putin didn't like. He asked her to come to where he was on his birthday. And she shows up and he shoots her.
Oh, yeah.
A young girl.
I don't put it past them at all. You know, a lot of my Russian friends here and friends from Ukraine and Belarus, the former Soviet Union, they fled because they wanted to get away from tyranny. And as I said, many of them, you know, you hear the horror stories.
Right.
And it's getting pretty bad. Revealing Light Tarot, we should do a show with her.
Yeah, she's in Australia.
That's all right. We could still do it.
I can write her.
All right. So here we go. Pat Lee wants to know, is I call him Putkin, the nub. You started that, the nub, the teeny weeny nub. Is Putkin jealous of Zelensky? This is Pat Lee asking this question.
Yeah, because people were just really liking Zelensky too much.
Zelensky has proven himself to be a hero.
Oh, and he's a man.
Yes.
Could you see Trump down there fighting with the people?
He'd be throwing paper towels. Not happening. I told a friend of mine, I can't mention his name, but I said he's from Ukraine. His wife was from Moscow. They're dear, dear friends. And I said, if I were younger, I would go to Ukraine and fight with Ukrainians. And he asked me, he texted back, can you drive a tank? I said, no, but I'm a good shot. My father taught us to shoot guns when we were tiny.
That's me too.
Right.
There was a 75-year-old guy on the news today that's in their army. He says, I'm a good shot.
Well, there's a lot of mercenaries going there. Like
I saw from other countries.
Ex-US people, all kinds of ex-mercenaries from across the world going there.
I actually felt like it was a weird flash I had, but I shouldn't bring it out in the open. I felt like there's people with no names on their shirt. So you don't know where they're from. Right. But a whole like military group of them coming in, but you can't say they're from the West. They're coming in and they're just freaking tearing it up.
They're coming in from all over. You know, there was a movie years ago called The Mouse That Roared. And that's exactly what Ukraine is. It's the mouse that roared. I some people were saying that, some of my friends from there were saying that they thought Kyiv would, I think it's Kyiv. I don't know how to say it in Russian, but that
They say it Kyiv.
Kyiv, Kiev or Kyiv, however you say it.
Yeah.
They thought it would fall in a couple of days, and my guide said,
"Oh, that's what Biden thought."
My guide said, absolutely not. And they're still holding strong. They're not going to give up. They will fight until the last breath. And Russia's running out of gas. Russia's, with the sanctions they put on Russia, they're feeling the pinch already.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
well, today was real bad for the Russians. They can't get money out of the bank. Nobody's going to get paid, not even their military.
Let them eat their money.
Everything's frozen.
That's right. That's right. And their money's not going to be worth anything anyway. I think it's already devalued.
What is it against the dollar now? It's like $1.80 for a ruble.
When the Soviet Union collapsed, it was like bags of rubles were worth maybe $100 or something.
Right. Not for what you have to have 180, I think, rubles for a dollar. That's it.
Oh, it's going to devalue more.
Well, they stopped the stock market. They won't let it go any further.
And this is going to bring Biden's popularity up. He's showing strength, not weakness, but strength.
I don't understand why he was down to 37.
I think because of gas prices and inflation in this country.
Well, it's interesting because when somebody said, look at your 2022 predictions. And I was saying that Biden would go up, and it might be because of a war.
Well, you had said there's something coming that's going to pull us together. And it was,
even Marco Rubio saying he doesn't like what Russia's doing.
Right. Right.
And Ted Cruz.
Well, a lot of them are going to go against Trump. I'm telling you, this Russia thing is really going to finally be, I think, the domino effect that helps to bring Trump down.
And somebody on Twitter showed a text or a link with the Proud Boys. They had 9 of them getting ready to go help fight for Russia.
If they do that, they should be held for treason. And they will be, by the way.
I don't know if it's true because sometimes you can't trust things on Twitter.
I know that.
But even Facebook, who's been in the pockets of the Kremlin, who helped destroy Hillary Clinton, now they've cut them off.
Well, this ain't going to be good for Facebook either.
No, but Meta has cut out everything concerning Russia.
Good. This is reminiscent to me. I remember when I was a kid in the 4th grade during the Cuban Missile Crisis.
I remember that.
And the nuclear disaster drill sirens would go off. And we'd have to go in the hallway and get down like this. And
like that would save us.
Right. If you see a bright flash, duck and cover. So I refused to do it one time. And my father got called to school. My father always said, if you get a whipping in school, because we would get spanked in school, you'll get a whipping when you get home because you better behave in school. And they said, your son will not go in the hallway and duck when there's a nuclear disaster drill. And my father asked me why. I said, because if they drop bombs, nobody's going to live anyway. I mean, I was in the 4th grade and I knew that.
And you knew that.
So I remember at the crux of that, they let us out of school early. And my father came to pick us up in this old Chevrolet or Ford. It was a Ford. And he had it all packed. And I said, where are we going? He said, we're going to your Aunt Susie's in the country. I said, for what? He said, because if they drop a nuclear bomb, they're not going to waste one on the countryside.
On the countryside.
They didn't have intercontinental ballistic missiles in those days. And I remember staying with her, and she was so far out in the country, the rabbits had to carry their lunch. And we stayed with her until the whole thing
calmed down.
Yep. And her TV was real sketchy. I mean, it was like maybe one channel, and if you got that, but they were on the radio every day listening. And it was just so scary as a kid.
I don't remember being scared. I didn't quite, but I remember doing those things. But in our hallway, there was nothing but windows.
Right.
So those windows would have exploded, probably cut our throats.
Exactly. What good would it have done? But this is kind of reminiscent of the Cuban Missile Crisis. I don't think people have been this nervous about nuclear threats since then.
But John Kennedy stood up to him.
He certainly did.
He said, we'll take you out too, sucker.
And that's exactly what's going to happen here. But Putin doesn't care. He doesn't.
No.
If he's going to,
he's like Hitler.
Right. That's exactly my point.
If Hitler had nukes, he would have destroyed everybody.
He would have. You're right. But I think your dream is right. I think it'll stop before it gets to that. And
I love your dream.
The sinking yacht, I was like, yes.
And it was on fire. Could you see him running around screaming?
He was on the top deck and there was fire all around him and he was screaming. And there was all these boats around and it was just, the yacht was just going down. And
was anybody trying to help him?
Nothing. They were just all like, I don't know if they were laughing, but they were pointing. And I remember waking up going, I know what this means. That
I wonder if it was the oligarchs.
I'm sorry?
All his people with the yachts. That's one thing they all have is yachts.
Well, here's what's going to happen. A lot of those properties are going to be seized too. I mean, a lot of them. And so, the oligarchs, a lot of people thought that Putin had protected their money, but their money's not worth anything. And so his generals, the oligarchs, all of those, the Russian people, they're arresting them and detaining them without trial and all of this.
No, of course not.
But you can't arrest everybody. And the Russian people are not going to stop. They're going to continue to protest.
Well, also, you've got thousands and thousands that they've already put in jail. And those families will kill him for their kid or their relative.
They're not going to take it lying down. They're going to.
So that's why Putin is totally isolated. He wouldn't go out and make a speech to the public and the man on the moon.
Nope, he won't. And even when he does, they don't believe it.
I see him hunkered down somewhere on a bunch of guns and stuff. So I don't know what that means. But I see him hunkered down.
He's probably hunkered down in a bunker somewhere thinking that he's impervious to nuclear attack. But here's what he doesn't get. Even if you survive a nuclear attack in a bunker, when you come outside, you ain't going to live.
No.
So.
No, I don't see because of a nuke. I see him running and hiding. And people are waiting. You got to come out sometime, sucker. Because I see people waiting with guns.
Well, people like him are cowards. He's in the Donald Trump category. He played Trump like a fiddle. Now, Jenny W. wants to know, what is Kim Jong-un up to?
He shot off some missiles. I don't know if he's still alive. I never get a feeling like he's still alive.
Well, him or his double, whoever, I think a lot of these people are just waiting to see what happens with Putin, because then they can, like Kim Jong-un can go into South Korea, China could go into Taiwan. I think they're going to.
No, they're not going to now.
They're going to think twice. Remember,
China was like, oh no, we're for Russia. And then as things got real bad, they're neutral now.
Correct.
And yeah, China's smart. They're looking at what the outcome is. And if everybody turns against China and suffocates them financially.
And if this country and other countries find out that China is sending dark money to Russia, they will sanction China. It's not going to be pretty.
Ooh, right.
It's amazing that pretty much the whole world is against Russia, is against Putin right now.
Well, I do see him begging China to send him some money, but I feel China says no, because if there's any link, we're going to get in trouble.
Oh, they will. Yeah. They will. In a heartbeat.
Yep.
All right. Oh, Studio LB said, will Putin be removed by the Russian people? We've just answered that, but that's a good question.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I just keep hearing the words crimes against humanity. That's what I keep hearing.
That's what
They just randomly bombed one of the cities, and that's against something.
Well, it's kind of almost like genocide. You can't wholesale kill a bunch of people just because they're Ukrainian and unprovoked. Marie Palermo wants to know, what kind of deal do you think will come out of Ukraine and Putin negotiations? I don't think anything. Or, it would be perfect for Putin to say, okay, we're declaring a truce and pulling out. That would be the perfect thing for him.
But he won't do it.
He won't do it.
I think they want it to happen. These people coming to talk to the Ukraine, but I feel like Putin's like, no.
I don't think the Ukrainians would even trust Putin to make a deal, because because he would renege on it. And I think now they're so incensed against Russia that he would even think of something like that.
Well, they need this time to build up their people coming from the outside, all this money coming to them. Oh, Putin is furious.
Oh, he completely bit off a doo-doo sandwich, and he's completely furious. In fact, I see Ukraine being whole again, like East Ukraine that sided with Putin. That's going to be a part of Ukraine. It's not going to, they're not, and I see.
I don't know if they've sided with Putin, because when they landed there, more people than not said, what the hell are you guys doing here? And that's the lady with the sunflower seeds that said, what the hell are you doing? Put these seeds in your, so when you die in Ukrainian soil. They had that was a lie that Putin said.
And by the way, I think at some point Crimea will go back to Ukraine.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking too.
They didn't want to be part of Russia. I love that story about the lady with the sunflower seeds. What did she say? Yes. Put it in your pocket so when you
put it in your pocket so when you die on Ukrainian ground, a flower will sprout up.
Wow.
Also, by the way, those 13 people on that island that said Russian warship F you, they all lived. They're not dead.
Oh, I thought they died.
No, they're alive.
Yay. Well,
yes.
the Russian, I think the Russians said either surrender or, and they said F you, bring it on.
Yeah. So I don't know what happened, but they're still alive.
Okay, Kristen Davis wants to know, is the universe protecting T-Rump?
Huh?
Is the universe protecting Trump because nothing's been done so far? The answer is no. He's not being protected by the universe. I think it's the universe's way of bringing him down. You got to get you got to get the information. You got to get the goods. You have to have something that will stick.
Right.
Okay. This is a good one. Margaret W. Thanks, Lyndon Mill. Will Russian women spill the tea on Putin, Trump shenanigans due to this invasion? That's a good one.
Well, what again? Tell me again.
Will Russian women spill the beans or spill the tea on the Putin, Trump shenanigans due to this invasion? In other words, women that they both had things to do with.
Oh, okay. I see a lot of stuff coming out about it.
So do I.
He might even already be dead, but I see a lot of things that, like I said, we might even get the PP tapes.
We will.
A lot of stuff. And it's going to be so ugly. And I don't see Russia. I think Edgar Casey was right. Russia will end up being our friend.
I think at some point it will. It's just going to take a while.
Yeah.
Somebody asked Shelley B, will ETs be required to step in to stop Putin from using nukes? And Shelley, I don't think it'll take ETs to do that. I think the countries of this planet will do a well enough job to stop them. So the ETs don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, even Turkey said, how dare you threaten us with nukes?
I know.
Does Putin hear all this stuff? Does he know how bad it is, or is he trying not to listen?
Well, it was just like Hitler in the bunker. He heard it, but anybody that said anything, he went into a rage and a rant. He didn't want to hear it.
Let them all die.
And there was a part of him that knew the war was lost, but he was paranoid and hallucinating, like, well, we still have generals and we can still do this. And he didn't. And they were trying to tell him.
Well, he fired that general that said, no, we're not going to use nukes. Gone. I don't know if he fired.
But general might be fired, but he ain't going away.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think behind the scenes, a lot of those generals are getting people on their side. I'm kind of seeing like just some kind of inner uprising against Putin in Russia.
Well, you see that big ass table, which is absolutely ridiculous that he sits at.
I know.
And there was two generals on the end here and they showed their faces. And I'm going to tell you, they didn't look like happy campers. They were almost cringing. Like, how do we get the F out of here?
Something else should be as big as the table he sits at, but it ain't.
But he looks like a little midget at the end of the table.
How old is he? 5'6"? How tall is he? 5'6"?
He looks about 5'3", but
I didn't know that piled crap that high. All right. Let's see. Somebody just said, Reinhold asked, will Russia have to return Crimea? I see Crimea going back to Ukraine.
That's what I see too.
Okay. Let me see here. Ooh, This is Nancy. Nancy, how long was the storming of Ukraine in the planning stages? Did it all hinge on 45 getting into office, or did it begin long before then?
How long was the what?
How long was the storming of the Ukraine in the planning stages by Putin? I think he's been planning it for
for years, even when Trump was in office.
Well, and then she said that it all hinged on Trump getting into office, or it began long before then. I think you're right. My guide said it began long before then.
Right.
Putin wanted Trump in office because Trump already had dealings with Russia before he became president. And they figured if Trump got in, then it would be a sure thing.
He's got his puppet.
Correct.
Do you think he was upset that he couldn't manipulate the vote and get Trump back in?
Oh, I'm sure he was doing BBs.
Yeah.
But
the thing is, I was watching a show. In fact, I'll have to send it to you. It's on YouTube. Talks about how all this started. And one thing about the Ukraine, they found gold in their hills. They have so many things, even in the Black Sea. That's when Russia went in and said, this is our sea.
Right.
You can't have it. And so this is why they want to get in there, because there's money to be had.
Well, he wants to get in there because he didn't want NATO. And then it's very easy once he's got Ukraine, it's a staging ground where he could just march in and take a lot of Eastern Europe back. Because
right.
Biden said, we said this before Biden even said it, he wanted the countries in the old Soviet Union back, but it is backfiring.
Right.
That's a huge part of it. The other part of it is Ukraine does have a lot of natural resources that he wants, because if he can do that, then he can control world supply and demand.
Exactly.
So it's about controlling the world. That's what he wants.
Right.
But it's not going to happen.
No.
Okay. So Nancy, it was planning for a long time. I think Putin's been thinking about it for many years, and
he does do a little bit of that. We need the old Russia back.
Right. Exactly.
But people were in bread lines at that time.
Well, yeah.
Great. Oh, hail Russia.
You had to wait in the old Soviet Union for what was available. And it was funny, when I had a lot of friends that I have that escaped from the former Soviet Union, and they came here to Chicago. We have a huge Russian population here and Ukrainian population. They were saying that under Soviets, you had to wait in line forever, depending on what they had that day. And many of them said when they came to the West and they saw the grocery stores, they thought they were museums. They cried because there was so much of everything.
I remember as a young girl, news showing people standing in bread lines.
Yep.
And that's what he's doing to them now.
Well, one of my Russian friends told me, and this was pretty poignant. She goes, she's in Israel now, but she said, Mel, I don't know what's worse, to be able to go into grocery stores and everything's empty, or to go into grocery stores that have everything and not having the money to buy it. And that's what's been going on in Russia under Putin. The grocery stores are full, but nobody can afford to buy anything.
Yeah, they raised their interest rates to 20%.
They right. Nobody can afford it. So
isn't that something?
Right.
How's Israel doing? Have they said anything?
I haven't heard. A lot of Jewish people came from Russia and Ukraine and Belarus because they had so many pogroms that were anti-Jewish. And many of them back in the former Soviet Union escaped the left and went to like Italy. Some went to Europe for a while, and many of them settled here. So, and many of them in Chicago. So we have a very large Russian Jewish, Ukrainian Jewish population here.
Right.
And they still have relatives. I talked to a really good friend of mine, they're like family, who still has aunts and uncles in Ukraine.
Wow.
And their relatives are fighting.
The other thing, there was a thing on some news media, I guess it was, they said, Putin seems to forget who fought in World War II. And I think the Ukrainians were great fighters.
They were, but the Ukrainians sided with the Germans because they were so anti-communist.
Right.
And so that's what Putin was saying when he's going to denazify the Ukraine. That was 80 years ago. The president of Ukraine is Jewish right now.
And lost family in that war.
Yeah, he lost relatives in the Holocaust. Okay, Sue E. Hi, Mel and Linda. What's going to happen to Sean Hannity at Fox? Entertainment purposes only, everybody.
Entertainment purposes only. I got my cards here. I'll take a look. Give me your insight.
I see him gone. The same as I see. This could very well be the downfall of Kremlin Carlson too.
Well, I think when all this stuff starts coming out about Putin and who he supported, I think Fox is going to get hit hard.
They will. I call him Kremlin Carlson, but Tucker, which rhymes with.
Is he still talking good about Putin? Or did they? I heard they backtracked that somewhat.
Well, I haven't watched him because I didn't want to lose my lunch. So I'll have to talk to people that have. But I see Hannity gone. How about you?
Oh, yes. And it's suddenly.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Hold on just a minute here, Linda. I lost my place.
Oops.
Here we go.
You lost your lunch and you lost your place. 10 of Swords. Hello. People will be dancing in the streets.
About.
This is big. This is the whole Fox News is getting revamped. Remember, I told you that. I kept seeing the guy that owns Fox News dying. So he may go pretty soon.
Somebody sent a comment that his son was just like him, but I don't think so. I think
the sons, remember the movie about that gal that was being sexually harassed? The sons have to placate the father.
Right.
But remember too, that this guy that owns Fox, I can't think of his name, he doesn't like Trump.
Rupert Murdoch.
He announced that Trump had lost Arizona way ahead of time. He told Fox News, go ahead and announce it. Oh, the first thing out of Trump's mouth is that effing Rupert Murdoch. He did that deliberately. That's when he had everybody on the phone to Fox. But Fox couldn't reverse it because they got it from the bigwig.
And now Trump, did you hear Trump? He's like, oh, I'm for Ukraine and the and if I were president.
When did he do that?
Oh, the CPAC conference. It's horrible that he didn't say he was for Ukraine, but it's horrible that, that he believes, I don't know, he's talking about that.
So at first he was like, Putin's smart.
Well, he did say that. He kept saying that Putin is smart.
But he's against this war now.
Well, that's what he was against him invading Ukraine. At least that's
how big the pressure is. Think about it. That's how big the pressure is. That's why Fox News is turning. Because I heard Tucker Carlson had actually acted like, no, I didn't say that. I was for Putin. And he did. We heard him.
Well, I think all the other networks are going to be replaying it. I call him Kremlin Carlson. So.
Yeah, he is. Yes.
All right. Oh, this is good. Will China allow Russia to use their version of SWIFT? Because that's
no.
So.
Absolutely not. You know why Chinese are very good at business. Okay. That's the one thing, except they're losing their butts right now financially. But the one thing they know is don't mess with these criminals and get yourself involved.
Right.
They're not even going to sneak it under the table.
No, because if they find out, they're in deep.
Yeah, they're already too much on that. They need to be able to do all this stuff with other countries. And they can let Russia go.
Okay. Marcel Parent. Will Putin be charged and stopped with war crimes?
I heard that.
So did I.
I heard war crimes.
Well, if Putin is dead, they might do it after he dies.
There's something, they might bring up all these generals and everybody. Other people will pay for what he did.
I see some things happening that were almost equal to the Nuremberg trials. And I don't know where they'll hold them. I hope they hold them in Ukraine.
But I really get all those jail cells opening and all these poor people being released.
Yes.
Because they're starving them, by the way. They don't have the money to pay for the food. And the other thing I'm seeing is, I saw this very clearly, that I had that flash that Navalny standing outside of wherever he was taken, waving to the crowd.
Yes, that's what I was just going to ask. I can't, whatever his name is. Now, I kind of think he's going to end up like a Nelson Mandela. Remember Nelson Mandela of South Africa?
Giovanni?
Yes. I've got a funny feeling at some point he might run for political office in Russia.
I felt like he was the one who's going to take Putin's place. But people are saying no. I feel like he will. And I'll tell you, I see Zelensky, God love him, and make sure he lives, you guys.
God love him, is right.
But I see him winning the Nobel Peace Prize.
He will. I mean, he's proven himself to be a hero. People thought he was weak, but I mean, when he called people back that were leaving Ukraine, he said, "Come back and fight." And when he talked to some of the world leaders, he said, "This might be the last time you."
I might not be alive. Yeah,
might not be alive, but he will get a peace prize.
I think there was a German person that was interpreting his whatever he was saying. Did you see that?
No.
And she couldn't even finish. She was crying.
Wow. He will go down in history as kind of like. And
Biden has such an affinity for him because remember, he would not lie about Hunter.
No, he
would not say, even though he desperately needed that money.
And that's another reason.
You don't think President Biden hasn't forgotten that? He will move heaven and earth. He will move heaven and earth. If they say, okay, you're in the, because I don't know why they didn't let Ukraine into the, that system, that
NATO? I don't know why, but I think, under it all, Trump is still hoping that Putin wins and takes over Ukraine because he's still mad because Zelensky didn't do Trump's bidding.
Yeah, he's like Trump wants Zelensky gone.
But now Zelensky is asking to, an emergency, I just heard it today, to be allowed into the European Union. And I have a feeling that the EU will allow him in.
That's what I'm feeling. So what happens if he gets into the European Union?
Well, if he gets into the European Union, it's not NATO, but the European Union is different than NATO.
Okay.
But the European Union, my guides had showed me had Putin invaded, that a lot of the countries in the European Union would send in troops and help to support Ukraine. So now if Ukraine's in the EU, that changes the whole dynamic of it.
Even with the United States?
No, because United States supports.
Biden is really nervous about boots on the ground in Russia because it will involve nukes. Well, that would flip Putin beyond any other.
That's what Putin is saying, but some people think it's a bully tactic, and some thought it was a bully tactic when he said he would invade Ukraine. But
they couldn't believe he did it.
It was a shocker to everybody.
But I saw it. Remember, I did that out in my garden. I said, I'm seeing the tower, you guys. Something major is getting ready to happen.
When it first started, I didn't think he would. And then all of a sudden something changed. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to do it. And I think in the beginning, he just thought it would be a show of force. And then something flipped in his head and he just decided to do it.
And also, he really thought they'd go in, take over. And now all these Russians are turning against Putin.
I knew.
All these military people.
I knew.
They're like, well, they didn't tell us. And they were starving these military people. And now they're not going to be able to pay them. Hello.
I knew it would be another like Afghanistan for them. It's, you cannot win a guerrilla war with conventional warfare, even with nukes, because these people, if he nukes Ukraine, then for what purpose? I mean, it's going to be a nuclear wasteland.
Yeah.
Okay. NJ Galti says, is there money that's supposed to go to the GOP tied up in the sanctioned banks? Oh, that's good.
What do you mean?
In other words, some of those banks that are sanctioned by the US, was some of that money supposed to go to the GOP and their candidates?
Oh, yes. I heard that earlier. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, Denise.
Can I ask you something, Mel?
Yes.
I don't know if you've answered this before, but I want to throw it out there.
Yeah.
What was the purpose of those Republicans going to Russia?
Oh, that's a good question. Who all went? I don't even know.
Johnson, a bunch of them.
When did they go?
Back when Trump was first back when they were first, Trump was first on board.
Well,
and then he sent his little puppy, Rand Paul, to give a message personally to Putin.
You mean Brillo head? He looks like he's got a Brillo on his head, doesn't he?
Yeah.
My feeling is they were going there, one, to have Russian support through backdoor channels for money for the GOP, but also to have them continue to support changing elections in this country, and also some underhanded business deals for some business for them and for Trump in Russia.
Okay.
It's going to come out that, you know, they went there and it all had to do with dark money, Linda. That's what I'm picking up. What do you think?
Yeah. All had to do with dark money. And, you know, Trump was going to make a United States Russia. They were trying to do that backroom deal. And then remember, he was taking all the sanctions off Putin until Congress got involved.
That's right.
He said, don't you dare.
That's because I think under the table, Putin started a misinformation campaign against Hillary to get Trump in, and was paying for it and was financing through backdoor channels a lot of Trump's campaign.
Right.
Okay, Fed girl. Will the connection be made between Fox host and Russian money?
Fox host and
host, you know, like host on the Fox programs, like you know, Kremlin Carlson, and in other words, will the connection be made between Fox TV host or TV personalities and Russian money?
Will there be a criminal connection? I heard yes.
And then, well, the entertainment purposes only. Will Fox be held accountable for their employee support of Putin, for their host support of Putin?
It all lingers back to Bannon. Bannon is the one that's right in the middle of this.
Well, he's going to go down too.
Bannon is supplying other people with the lies.
I think they're talking about more like people like Tucker Carlson and Hannity.
Yeah, the celebrities are going down. Fox News is going through a total revamp. And I'm going to tell you, that guy, I would not be surprised waking up in the morning to hear he's dead.
There you go. Oh,
you're talking not a horrible death, died in his sleep or something.
Rupert Murdoch you're talking about. Well, here's another thing, and you just answered it. Will whistleblowers come forward and expose them? The answer to that is absolutely yes.
Who?
Well, the whistleblowers come
yes.
forward and expose, like a lot of the TV people
at
Fox Network. Okay. Ooh, this is good. Smile time. Will any actual notes from Trump and Putin's meeting ever be recovered and publicized? I know the answer to that.
I feel that will. I feel the woman that they said you can't tell anything, who fears for her life, I think she'll come out and say everything.
I see it like in red neon letters. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, we got time for maybe one more, okay?
Okay.
Okay. L. Min, will the U.S. be able to seize Russian assets in the U.S., in other words, all of their property?
Yep.
Yes. And then she answered two questions. Will 45
Same thing, same thing.
Same thing, start to scramble for money.
Right.
Yes, he is already scrambling. And then the third one is this part of 45's downfall?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
There's a lot of information's coming out.
That's a lot. Well, okay.
And you know, the fact that I didn't see that Trump is saying that, you know, he doesn't want the war with the Ukraine, but I can see Putin telling him, you better switch that around, or I'm going to start dropping some info on you.
Absolutely. It'll come out. It will come out. Okay. I said when I got to 14,000 subscribers, thanks to you, Linda.
Oh, you got to 14?
14,300. And when I get to 15,000, every 1,000 I get to, I give away 3 free half-hour sessions.
Awesome.
So today, the winners are, for the 14,000, Gina O, Volk 1, Alexis, and I'm in a really good mood, so I'm going to give away a 4th one to Coco Jones.
You're so busy and you're putting all those in there. But I love my free readings too. I like giving away.
You know what? that's just a way to say thank you to the people that are supportive of my channel. And
Yeah.
and I couldn't have done it without you. You've been so wonderful. And you've
Thank you, my friend. Well, I enjoy getting people out there in the forefront.
and they're liking Kevin too, by the way.
Yeah, Kevin's cool. I like Kevin too.
Anyway, sweet. I'm anxious you got to meet him. I was
Yeah, finally.
I'm happy you got to meet him, I should have said.
He's very sweet.
He's a nice.
I don't know if he could hang around me very long. He'd start getting like, you know, blinking and being nervous because I go, oh God, she's such a powerful person here, especially you and me together.
Oh my God, that's like we could. Anything you want to say before we end this wonderful collaboration?
Oh, just you guys pray as hard as you can. I keep praying for St. Michael's, which I found out that is the one that oversees the Ukraine. That is their saint.
The warrior.
And I want you to visualize, and I see loads of other men coming in, men and women in uniforms that have no identity. And they're coming in from other countries. And I see loads of stuff from Germany coming in.
Good. And you know what? I just want to tell people, even though I've not been this nervous since the Cuban Missile Crisis, that's just me, my nervousness. I see a future for people.
Yeah.
In my readings, I see a future for people. So if there weren't a future for us, if we were all going to go of nuclear annihilation, I wouldn't be in the future.
I didn't never get nuclear annihilation.
I don't.
But they may try to shoot something because that dream I had.
Well, I just keep thinking that.
But it gets blown up in the sky.
I think that dream of yours just means that they're going to be pushed back and that they thought they would win and that they would steal things like they were trying to rob from you in the dream, and it didn't work.
Okay.
They were using that threat of nuclear annihilation, but for some reason, no pun intended, that fizzled as well.
Right.
I think that's the meaning of your dream.
You know, my first husband was Russian.
Okay. What was your last name then?
He's actually doing very well. He's actually a good person.
It sounded terrible, didn't it? I said, what was your last name then?
Oh, I won't announce that. But
I'm teasing. I was being cocky.
yeah, but he ended up being a nice guy. But he was raised in such poverty.
Yeah.
His parents, his grandparents were bootleggers during the Depression in the 1920s.
Oh,
and they made millions. When the grandma died, she died with 3 million. So each child got $1 million, which is a lot of money back in the day. His father had 12 kids by this poor little Polish mother.
They didn't have a lot to do back then.
And he took off. She had nothing. When I went to see her, when Charlie, his name was Charlie, and I used to go when we'd visit in Ohio, she would still be buying those big tins, like welfare tins of peanut butter and tins. And she only had a few kids still living with her, but she was so used to buying.
Well, that was normal. You know, my grandmother came from the hills of Kentucky. Go figure, right? But, you know, in the hills of Kentucky, they either did underground mining and you died of black lung, or they made moonshine, which was illegal whiskey.
Yeah.
Her brothers ran illegal whiskey. And the reason it was illegal is because it was federally taxed. And if you made moonshine, which is illegal whiskey, it didn't have a federal tax stamp. And back in those days, if you got caught, you would go to court and they would give you a year and a day, which means you had to stay in jail until you served that day.
Wow.
So I remember in 6th grade, it was all over the papers, biggest still in Kentucky, da, 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 da. And it was my grandmother's brother. And I went to school for show and tell. I'm going, that's my grandma's brother. I thought we were famous. I was so proud.
Look here, he's in the newspaper.
My mother's going, don't you dare go to school and tell about the family.
My parents were like that. You don't discuss nothing in the house.
And my grandmother was like that. So was my mother, because my mother was raised during the Depression. So when, you know, she didn't throw anything out and she would buy things in bulk. And it was like, oh my God.
My mother, I used to hate Sundays. She'd get that Sunday paper and we'd have to cut out hundreds of coupons. Do you know I don't collect a coupon to this day?
Mom never did that. She wasn't a coupon clipper, but she could find a bargain. She wasn't cheap. My mother would give you the shirt off her back.
Right.
boy, she knew how to shop for food and bargains, and you didn't throw anything away. If there was some drippings left over, you saved it for something else.
That's how my mom was.
Yep.
My dad would say, oh yeah, she'll keep it in the fridge till it's mildewed. And she used to say cheese that got mildewed, don't throw that out. You can just cut it off.
Well, exactly. Cut the mold off of it.
But see, cheese is like an organ, like your liver getting cancer. Right. It'll go through the organ. The mildew, you can't see it, but it's growing in there.
Exactly. Anyway. Well,
my dad, who left that light on? Why is that light on? That's how I was raised.
Oh, I know. Us too. Turn that light out. Close the refrigerator. What are you trying to do? Air condition the house? Close that refrigerator. we didn't have air conditioner. There was only one fan, and it wasn't in our room.
Right. I have a friend, whose husband is so cheap, he refused to pay for parking to some show they were going to in San Francisco. It was a big deal. He parked at a shopping center across the street, which is a big no-no. And sure enough, they came out and the car was towed.
This car.
They had to take a cab down to where the car was, and the amount of money they had to spend to get, because San Francisco is really expensive if you get towed. It was like that. My friend said she was laughing to herself because there you go for being cheap. You should have just paid the $20 for the parking.
Exactly. So. Karma.
So I'm going to be on with my friend, Astrology Alert, Andre.
Okay. Everybody watch. How do they, he's going to be on your show or Andre?
Yeah, he's going to be on my show.
Okay. So everybody watch Andre with Linda. All right.
Andre with Linda.
Love you, darling.
He's so cool. Okay, honey, you take care. Love you too.
He is cool, by the way. Maybe we should do a show together one of these days.
Yeah, I like him.
All right, sweetie. You stay well. Namaste.
Bye-bye. Cheers, my friend.
All righty.